Hi everyone, my name is Echo and I am from Fort Wayne, Indiana, and I work for the Girl Scouts of Northern Indiana-Michiana. I'm here today to walk you through some of the steps for daisies to earn the Good Neighbor badge. So as a reminder, all of these badge presentations that we're doing online are for background and for inspiration and to give you some ideas to jumpstart your thinking about earning the badge, but you don't actually earn the badge just by watching. However, if you were inspired by what you see and hear today and want to do some of these steps on your own to earn the badge, that'd be great. When you've done that and you actually earn the badge, once our retail stores open up again, you can go purchase your badge there, or you can always order them online. So, a couple things though. I was originally planning to do this badge as a teddy bear tea. And of course we did have to cancel that. But I thought to myself, wait a minute, I can still have my tea party. We're just gonna have it not quite together the way we would have been. But I want all my Daisy friends out there, and anybody else for that matter, run and go get your favorite stuffed animal. We all need to still have our tea party. So go and get your stuffed animal. Hopefully it's not too far away or too hard to find. And in the meantime, adults who are watching, if you want to type in the comments, what kind of stuffed animal is your girl gonna go get? And maybe what's that animal's name? Does she have a name for her favorite? So share that information with us in the comments. We'd love to find out who is part of our tea party today. So I will introduce some of my friends who I invited to the tea party. I've got this bunny. Bunny doesn't have a name, but Bunny sure is cute and fluffy, so I thought a bunny would be perfect. So Bunny's here. My runner Mickey, probably my favorite, is here. Also, I invited Pooh Bear. Pooh Bear's always up for a little tea party. I got a couple of koalas. They decided to come. And then I've got Panda and baby Monium. And they are part of our tea party group as well. So let's get started. Here's a picture of what the badge looks like that the girls could earn. It's a really neat one. And I think a very important topic as we are all right now being good neighbors and good citizens. So by staying home and going out only for really essential business and trips, we are keeping ourselves and our families, and more importantly, other people healthy and safe. So thank you all for being home and doing the right thing by being good citizens of the world at this point. So excellent job. So when we talk about good neighbors, a big part of it is communities. So communities, it's a big long word, and it really just means people together, groups of people. So all my daisies out there, you're part of a lot of groups. Think about some of the groups that you're in. Your family right around you, that's one of your groups or one of your communities. Your Girl Scout troop is another one. Your class at school is another community. Your neighborhood would be one as well. Maybe you're part of a sports team, or maybe you take a dance class, karate, art class. You're part of that community as well. So lots of different things, different groups can be parts of a community. My community here today are all my friends who came to my tea party. And you're part of my community too. So the steps for this badge, first of all, we're going to explore your school. Our second step, we're going to discover your city or town. And third, we're going to see what makes your state special. All right, number one, explore your school. So although you're probably not at your school very much these days, think about your school. Think back about when you were spending your days at your school. If you're homeschooled, think about where you actually do your lessons and have your different activities in your house. So what are some of your favorite places at school? So I know when I was a student, my all-time favorite place was the library. I love to read. I love books. I love to hear people read stories to me. I just think a library is just full of all kinds of adventure and opportunities. So love the library. Maybe that's your favorite. Well, maybe you're artistic and you love the art room. Or if you like to sing or play instruments, maybe the music area of your school might be a favorite. And let's face it, I think all of us like the lunchroom. When we have that break during the day and have some lunch and get to talk and see our friends, or maybe you have breakfast there. So the lunchroom maybe is one that you like a lot. Another favorite of mine would be the gym, the area where we could run around and play games and just have a lot of active fun. So those are some different areas that might be your favorites. What about recess and recess places? Maybe your favorite is the playground or a blacktop area, a big grassy area where you can run around and play with your friends. How about within your classroom itself? Do you have centers? Are there certain areas that you like to go to when you have center time? Do you have computers in your classroom? What about a pet, a class pet? Maybe some fish or hermit crabs you can go look at? Or maybe you have a little reading corner or a reading nook. What's your favorite area? So think about all the fun things that you get to do in your classroom and some areas that really mean a lot to you in your school setting. So the project that I thought would be fun to do for this is going to involve a drawing. So I have a fancy paper, but you can do this activity with just any piece of paper that you have at home. It can be big or it can be just regular size paper. So this is kind of a neat one that's got one of the flower friends down in the corner. And you see it's got a big oval, and then it's surrounded by 6 smaller circles. So we're going to do some drawing on this in just a little bit, or your project might be is to fill some things in those circles. But I'm going to tell you what to think about that you can use to do in those circles. So the biggest circle, or the biggest oval, is going to be a picture of you. You can be doing whatever you want, whatever might be something that you'd like to show everybody that you like to do. And then in each of those circles, you can draw a way that you can be a good neighbor or a good citizen at school. So some ideas would be when you're a helper, you're being a good citizen. When you share, you're being a good citizen. When you raise your hand instead of shouting out, you're also being a good citizen. When you follow directions, when you do your homework and bring it in on time, when you line up quietly, walk quietly through the halls, maybe if you ask questions when you don't understand something, those are all ways that you can be a good citizen. Well, I was thinking of all of those things and I thought, you know what? I know some other things that also are perfect descriptions of girls who are good citizens at school. And these are all the different parts of the Girl Scout law. So think about it. When you're honest and fair, when you're friendly and helpful, when you're considerate and caring, courageous and strong, when you're responsible for what you do and say, when you show respect, using your resources wisely, and when you make the world a better place and are a sister to every Girl Scout, you're being one of the best citizens of all. Those are fantastic characteristics that you can display in your classroom. So we would love it if you draw a picture. You can draw flowers all around yours if you'd like, decorate it really fun, but put things in these small circles around the big picture of you that show ways that you are going to be a good citizen at school, or the way you have been a good citizen in the past. Have you shared a crayon with a friend? Have you played a game nicely and have you been good about taking turns with friends? Maybe you raised your hand when you knew the answer to a question. Make pictures of all those different things, and then if you'd like to ask your grown-up to share those pictures with us in the comments of this video, we would love that. We think that'd be so much fun to see what you came up with. What ideas do you have? You probably have lots and lots, even different ones than the ones that I suggested. So this is just an idea of a way for you to explore your school for step number 1. So for step number 2, we are going to think about our city or town, another community that you're part of. So you probably know where you live. Do you live in a small town? What about those of you who live in a bigger city? And some of you might even live out in the country. So what are some areas around you or places that you like to go to or that are important to you in your city or town or country area? So the first one that comes to mind, your house. Of course, where you live is important. But there's other things that you might think about. So what we'd love to do with this step is maybe make a model or a picture of some different places in your city or town that you want to show us, you want to show your family, that you just want to think about. So you might want to include your house. You could include your school, maybe a library. I think I would definitely put a library in mine. You could include restaurants that you like to go to when we're able to go out again. Maybe there's some favorite place you like to go for ice cream. Yeah, those are always good. How about places to go shopping? Or where do you go to get your groceries? Have you been to a friend's house? You might want to include some other people's homes. What about places that you've gone to as a field trip with your class or maybe your troop? Maybe you've visited a pumpkin patch. Maybe you've gone to a fire station. So there's lots and lots of different things that you could include in your model. So lots of things that you could use, you probably have around your house. So I looked for different things that I could use to make up a little model of my town or some part of it. I found some Tinker Toys. You could do some things with Tinker Toys if you wanted to, if you had something like that. Another idea would be to use some wooden blocks. I don't have a lot of them, so I could maybe only make one building or part of a building and then use some other things to go around. But you could definitely build with blocks if you have some of those on hand. Maybe you have some Lincoln logs. You could do some building with those. One thing that I had that I thought would be fun to use, I found some Legos. This box of Legos is what I decided to use for what I built. So here is what I came up with. And it's just a fun little playground area. I thought that's something fun I'd like to build. So it's got one of these neat little double-decker climbing areas. You can go in this little door here. See that open? It's got a window that opens you can peek out of, climbing up there. It's got an outdoor picnic area. So this girl is having a little snack right here. So that's pretty sweet that she can be right there outside. I even built a little merry-go-round back here. So anything like that that could be part of your city. So this is kind of a fun place that I remember playgrounds like this. I think there's one not too far from where I live that would be close to what this looks like. So that playground isn't close enough for me to walk to. So I decided I needed to also make a cute little car, a little happy mobile that can drive through my city or town. So that's something else you might want to do. Think about, can I build, or do I have some kind of a little car or a little vehicle that can drive through my little city or my town area that I end up building. So that would be step 2. So you can have a lot of fun with that if you do build something or make a really fun picture. Again, if you share it with us, we would love that. We would love to see your creativity and your fun ideas. What do you think of when you think of your town or your city? So think about how you can make something that demonstrates how you feel about where you live. And finally, we're going to do step 3, which is to think about some ways that your state is very special. So where I live and the council I work for represents almost all of the northern part of the state of Indiana, and then a little bit of southern Michigan. So we have 2 states that we work with. So I wanted to talk about both of them today, but I understand that there will be girls out there who live in other states as well. So think about the state you live in, and you can do some of these activities based on where your state is. So I want to start off with a map of the United States. You can see this here. I have colored Indiana blue, so you can see the blue state that I've colored here. And then right above it in orange, I've got Michigan. And what I decided to do on this map is to put some stickers in some other areas that are kind of important to me. I don't have any relatives who live in this state other than my husband. It's just the 2 of us who live in Indiana. But we have a daughter who lives over here in San Diego, California. She's very lucky. She lives in a beautiful city and it's warm there all the time. And then I have a son, and he lives in a little tiny town in Texas called Van Horn. It's pretty warm there too. And I have 2 siblings, a sister and a brother, who are in the state of Washington, up here in the corner of our country. So I've got a sister who lives in Olympia, right there, the green sticker. And then my brother and his family live in Spokane. So you can do something like that with another project we're going to talk about in just a minute. So let's talk about some things that makes the state of Indiana and the state of Michigan special. Okay, so states have state birds. So the state bird of Indiana is the cardinal. So here is a picture of a cardinal. They're beautiful birds. They are a really pretty color of sort of reddish orange, really a deep, beautiful red. And they've got a kind of an orangey yellow beak. And they're pretty distinctive. This is a male bird. So if you see one of these, this is our state bird here in Indiana. Up in Michigan, the state bird is the American robin. These are pretty distinctive birds too. Most of us are familiar with what a robin looks like. Their breast coloring is kind of a real pretty deep orange, and the rest of their bodies are kind of a brown, gray, black combination of feathers. So those are the 2 birds for our 2 states. States also have state flowers. Indiana's is the peony, and there's a picture of a peony. The petals are anywhere from a really deep pink to very pale pink, and some are even kind of a little bit on the closer to white side. So the peony's our flower. Up in Michigan, the apple blossom is the flower. It's a really light pink, and it's very distinguishable by these pretty little yellow features in the middle of the flower. States also have state trees, and ours here in Indiana is the tulip tree. So I've got a picture of the tulip tree. It's got these really interesting leaves, dark green leaves, and then these beautiful flowers that actually do look like tulips. So daisies, do you remember the name of our daisy flower friend who's a tulip? Have you learned about her? Who can remember her name? If you know her name, see if you can get a grown-up to type it in the comments section. It starts with a T. Who has it? Who knows? Tula. That's it. Good job. Okay, I have a challenge for my girls from Michigan. I did not print out your state tree. You get to discover what that tree is on your own. So you have a state tree as well, but this is your little challenge to find out what's that state tree. There's also foods that different states are famous for. And I've got a couple examples here. Michigan is known for its cherries and apples and also Detroit-style pizza. But I thought this is the one. Had to go with this one. This is one of my favorites. Mackinac Island fudge. So I printed out some fudge. Fudge comes in lots of different flavors. If you like it, it's pretty tasty. And there's a National Fudge Day. Who knew? June 16th is coming up. Let's all celebrate with some fudge. So fudge. What about Indiana? One of the foods that it's known for is something I've never ever had, and that's sugar cream pie. Have you girls had it? Do you know what it's like? I've never had it. It sounds really sweet. It's kind of a darker yellow than this. It's more like sort of a golden yellow, and the top is not a crust, but it's more just a really nicely baked top. Do you have a family recipe? Does someone in your family make this? Have you had it out somewhere at a restaurant? Please let us know. I need to know what this tastes like. I've never ever tried it. All right. So, another fun fact about Indiana is they have a big race car event every year in May. And it features cars that are kind of a lot like these. So you can see some of the cars that I'm going to show you. They're really sleek. They're very sporty. A couple more. And they might even, you see this one says Nintendo. They do probably have words and sponsor logos printed on them. So these cars go so fast and they go around a track a lot of times. And it's a huge, big deal. People love to go watch this race. I've never been to it. Maybe some of you have. Have you been to the Indianapolis 500? If you have, tell us in the comments. Tell us if you liked it. What was it like? Was it fun? That is kind of a big deal in our state. And one of the fun facts and interesting little pieces of information I want to share with you about that race is at the end, the winner gets handed a bottle of milk. And sometimes they'll take a drink of it, but more often than not, they like to dump it on their heads. So that is a tradition associated with the Indianapolis 500. So, speaking of cars are kind of a big deal in the state of Michigan. It is a big car manufacturing state. So, not only cars, but trucks are made in Michigan. So maybe some sporty ones like that. And maybe some fun colors or designs of cars. Yeah, cars. The state of Michigan is known for its cars. There is also some car manufacturing in Indiana, just to let you know that. So cars are kind of a big deal in both of our states. Okay, so the project that I think would be fun for you to do is, one last thing before I show you this. I gave my Michigan girls a challenge. Now I'm going to give my Indiana girls a challenge. I am going to tell you about state capitals. So the capital is it's not always the biggest city, but it's a city that does quite a bit of things for the whole state. So the state government is in the state capital. For Michigan, that state capital is Lansing. Maybe some of you have been to Lansing. Tell us in the comments if you've been to Lansing and things maybe you've enjoyed doing there. My challenge for Indiana girls, what's our state capital? Do you know? You can find out and maybe learn some more things about this city. Maybe you've been to this city. So that's your challenge. Michigan girls, find out your state tree. Indiana girls, learn what our state capital is. So the project that you could do on your own, which I thought was kind of fun, would be fun, is I printed out a template or just an outline of each of the states. So that was Indiana. This is one for the state of Michigan. And they're very different, as you can see, very different shapes. So you can print out your state, a map of your state, a blank one, and then maybe you know where it is, or maybe you can find out where's your city that you live. Either use a sticker, maybe a crayon, draw a fun little symbol right where your city or town is located on the map. And then you can maybe decide, oh, I want to put some other cities on here. Maybe you'll put the state capital. Maybe you'll put some places that you've visited before. Or maybe you have friends or relatives in other cities. What you could do, if you have people who live in your state that you know, you could do like I did for the whole country. Because I don't have anybody to put in my state. I had to use the whole country. But maybe you could put stickers for cities that have people you love living in them. So I want to share one more interesting, fun fact about Michigan. So look at our map. Michigan is kind of separated into two parts. There's this part up here, and then we've got this part down here. It is the only state out of all 50 that is made up of two peninsulas. And a peninsula is kind of a big word for a body of land that's all the way surrounded, or almost all the way surrounded by water. Not all the way surrounded. Surrounded usually on three sides by water. So we have other states that are a peninsula that are just one peninsula. But Michigan is so special because it's made up of two. And another fun thing about Michigan, if you look at this bottom peninsula, they call this the upper peninsula and this is the lower peninsula. Think about your hand. And what's something we wear on our hand in the winter in Indiana and Michigan that's kind of in this same shape? A mitten, right? Does that look like a mitten? That's what they call that part of the state, the mitten. Maybe you knew that. Maybe that's some new information for you. But that's a little fun fact about the state of Michigan. So I would encourage you to learn more things about your state. Maybe to do the map project where you print out a state and put different things on the map and learn some things about your state. Find out what the capital is if you live in Indiana, and find out what your state tree is if you live in Michigan. Well, that's about all for the badge, but wait, there's more. I don't know about you, but I'm ready for some tea. What about you folks, huh? Let's have our tea. All right. Cheers, everyone, and let's all be good neighbors. Bye-bye.